This might be an impulsive video to upload, but this is something really close to my heart, and so I wanted to add something to the conversation. If you don't already know, today the world woke up to the news that Anthony Bourdain, the amazing, wonderful renegade chef, took his own life. A couple of days ago, it was one of my favorite designers, Kate Spade. These past couple of days, and even more so today, I have witnessed in many social media outlets the outpour of posts with suicide hotlines and statistics about suicide and depression. If you're one of those people that posted, I ask you to take a moment to pause. I know your heart is in the right place, and I thank you so much for your concern. But for someone who has struggled with suicidal thoughts and depression for about 10 years now, I just ask you to take a moment and hear me out for a little. I honestly think that we don't need any more hotlines, statistics, hashtags, or awareness. I think what we need are stories, connections, intimacy, the chance to be vulnerable with one another, and the chance for healing. I was 19 when I had my first suicide attempt. I've had suicidal thoughts since I was 14, but for some reason that night I knew that that was it. I was ready to commit suicide, and I actually called a hotline as a last chance for salvation for myself. When I called the hotline, I was put on hold. I waited, and when someone finally picked up, it was this distant, apathetic stranger's voice. I hung up and I swallowed the whole bottle of pills that I was holding that night. Obviously, I didn't succeed because I'm still here. There was a miracle that happened that night, and that is for a whole other video, but what I'm trying to get at is this. I'm not saying that suicide hotlines don't work or that we shouldn't throw out statistics about suicides and depression. I do think that those are much needed knowledge. However, I ask you and I challenge you to take it a step further. Look around you. Who in your life do you know needs a friend right now? There are people in your life right now, in your immediate circle, that are suffering and in desperate need of a friend and desperately lonely. To be honest, dropping a hotline on them is like an insult, because you are dropping off the responsibility and the job of being a true friend and a true companion to some stranger that doesn't know who they are and doesn't know what their struggles are and doesn't really know what they truly desperately need. Of course, if you yourself are not in a healthy and good position to offer encouragement and advice and support, then don't do it. It will be just like the blind leading another blind, but what is important is that you give access. It is important to allow people to know that you are there for them. Let's take that yearning for suicide prevention awareness and actually partake it into our lives in our own immediate circle of family and friends. How do we allow ourselves to be more aware of the pain and suffering that our friends and families are going through and be that actual support for them? Also, I do ask that you remember that this is a vulnerable time for anybody who is suffering. Like it or not, celebrity suicides have a ripple and domino effect. Personally, for me, I know that when I found out about Ned Vizzini's suicide, I didn't know what to do. He wrote the book, it's kind of a funny story, and I read that when I was in high school, and I remember being so grateful knowing that there was someone out there who understood exactly what I was thinking and exactly what I was going through, and I was so comforted by his words. I was a sophomore in college when I found out that he killed himself, and it shook me to my core. It took me months to compartmentalize and finally accept his suicide. The same will happen to people that looked up to Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade. In fact, Kate Spade herself was obsessed with Robin Williams' suicide. So these kinds of news do affect us, which is why it is more pertinent to be more delicate, more mindful, and be more vigilant. Check up on your happy friends, check up on your struggling friends, check up on your quiet friends, your old friends, your new friends, your successful friends, your busy friends. Just check up with one another. Let's watch out for the people that we love. We can continue to discuss and debate about how we as a society handle mental health issues, but I think for now, what we really can do at this moment is just be there for each other. Lastly, if you are someone who is currently struggling and fighting against suicidal thoughts and depression, I want to say from the bottom of my heart, you are not alone. I have struggled with it for a decade now, and quite frankly, I just had suicidal thoughts 3 months ago, but I'm still here. And you are still here. You are not alone as much as I am not alone. I've had people in my life commit suicide, and I mourned for them. Let's mourn for what we've lost, but let us never allow that loss to affect our own fight. If anything, let's use their stories to propel us to continue on, one step at a time and one day at a time. Let's use that to be more intentional and more vigilant in our lives. You are so precious, and I know that if you're struggling right now, it doesn't feel like it. And it is impossible to get into that mind frame, but trust me, you are so important and your life matters. I know what that all-encompassing darkness feels like. Trust me, I have been there time and time again, and I will continue to be there. But one thing is for sure that I want you to get out of this is that you're not alone. Your presence and existence on this earth matters, and don't you dare take that for granted. My personal email is indicated below. I am in a good enough headspace, right now at least, to be able to hopefully send some support. I am honest when I'm not in a good headspace. So if it's not me, I ask that you reach out to other friends that you know are mature and emotionally ready to be vulnerable with you. Don't just spill out your deepest, darkest thoughts just to anyone, because not everyone is ready for what you have to say and will really be able to support you. But that doesn't mean that no one can. Thank you so much for listening to this, and thank you for watching this video. I don't know if I made much sense to you, but really what I just wanted is to add to the conversation, knowing from my own experience and my own knowledge. Suicide and depression is something that I will continuously grapple with, navigate with, and battle with. And so if you think that anything I said is problematic or wrong, please tell me. By all means, I need all the help I can get to. I honestly don't know what the ripple effects are of this video, but I just knew that I had to say something. And again, thank you so much for watching this video, and let's just take care of each other.